I didn't plan on recording that therapy session. Honestly, I didn't even want to go. But when my wife, Emily, said, "We need this if we're going to fix our marriage," I thought maybe, just maybe, there was still something worth saving. Turns out, she wasn't there to fix anything. She was there to play a part in a performance her lawyer had written for her. It all started a few months before that day in the therapist's office. Emily and I had been married for almost 8 years. We'd built a quiet life in the suburbs, a small house, a rescue dog, a backyard that needed mowing more often than I could manage. We weren't perfect, but we were steady. At least, that's what I thought. Lately, though, Emily had grown distant. She'd stay out late, working, and when she was home, she was glued to her phone. Conversations that used to last hours turned into one-word replies. I'd ask if something was wrong, and she'd sigh like I was exhausting her. I blamed stress, or maybe a rough patch. Every couple has them, right? But something shifted after I caught her deleting texts one night. She claimed it was nothing, just clearing space on her phone. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But my gut said otherwise. That gut feeling only got stronger when she suddenly suggested couples therapy. The timing felt off. Usually, I'd be the one begging for help, not her. Still, I agreed. I thought therapy might help us reconnect, find our footing again. But deep down, I was uneasy. So, without telling her, I hit record on my phone before our session started. Not out of malice, just instinct. I told myself it was for reflection later, so I could listen to what the therapist said and think about it more clearly. Turns out, it would become the smartest thing I ever did. The session began like any other. The therapist, a calm middle-aged woman named Dr. Harris, welcomed us in and asked about what brought us there. I started explaining how I felt Emily pulling away, how I wanted us to find that connection again. Emily just sat there, arms crossed, looking like she was counting the minutes until she could leave. Then, halfway through, Dr. Harris turned to Emily and asked, "What do you hope to get out of therapy?" Emily didn't even hesitate. She looked straight at the therapist and said, "Honestly? I'm only here because I want the house and the divorce. My lawyer said this looks good in court." The room went dead silent. Dr. Harris blinked, unsure if she'd heard right. I sat there frozen, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I asked, "What did you just say?" She shrugged like it was no big deal. "You heard me. I don't love you anymore, Mark. This isn't about fixing us. My lawyer said attending therapy makes me look cooperative, helps with asset division. Especially the house." I can't even describe the cocktail of emotions that hit me in that moment. Anger, disbelief, humiliation, all of it at once. But somehow, I didn't explode. Maybe I was too stunned. Maybe something inside me just broke. Instead, I nodded. Calmly. "Good to know," I said. Dr. Harris looked uncomfortable, like she wanted to say something but couldn't. Emily just grabbed her purse and said she was leaving early. I sat there for a long time after she left, staring at the empty chair where she'd been. Dr. Harris eventually cleared her throat and said quietly, "Mark, I'm so sorry you had to hear that in this setting." I smiled faintly. "Don't be. You've actually helped me more than you realize." Because I already knew what I was going to do next. The moment I got to my car, I played back the recording. Her words were clear as day. No room for misunderstanding, no way to twist it later. I sent it straight to my attorney with a message. "We're done." He called me back 5 minutes later. "Mark, this is gold. Keep the original file safe. And don't tell her you recorded it yet." That night, Emily came home like nothing had happened. She ordered takeout, scrolled through her phone, and made small talk about some show she was binge-watching. I barely spoke. Inside, I was calm, eerily calm. For the first time in months, maybe years, I wasn't walking on eggshells. I was done playing her game. 2 days later, my lawyer drafted the divorce papers. They were airtight. We included the transcript of her confession and noted that the therapist was willing to confirm the statement if needed. Apparently, Dr. Harris was so disturbed by what happened that she'd already written an official note summarizing the session. My lawyer said it was one of the cleanest cases he'd ever seen, emotional manipulation, bad faith, and intent to deceive all documented. I waited a week before serving her. I didn't want a scene at home, so I had the papers delivered to her at work. According to her coworker, who happened to text me later, she went white as a sheet when she opened the envelope. That evening, she stormed into the house, slamming the door so hard the picture frames rattled. "You recorded me?" she shouted. "You made it pretty easy," I said quietly. "All I did was press a button." She looked furious, like she wanted to throw something. "That was private. That was therapy." I met her eyes. "You made it a legal strategy. Big difference." She went quiet for a second, then sneered. "You think anyone's going to side with you? You've always been weak, Mark. Pathetic." I almost laughed. Funny. My attorney didn't seem to think so. She left that night, slamming the door behind her. I didn't see her again until the preliminary hearing 2 weeks later. In court, her tone was completely different. Suddenly she was soft-spoken, tearful, acting like she wanted reconciliation. But the judge had already heard the recording. My lawyer played it straight from my phone, Emily's voice, clear and cold, admitting her real reason for therapy. You could hear a pin drop when it ended. Her own lawyer looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. He leaned over to whisper something to her, and she turned red. The judge frowned and said, "Mrs. Evans, do you confirm this recording is of your voice?" She tried to deny it at first, but when the therapist's written statement came up, she had no choice but to admit it. From there, everything unraveled for her. The court ruled that her actions demonstrated bad faith and manipulation. The property division swung heavily in my favor. I kept the house, along with the majority of joint assets. Her attempt to weaponize therapy backfired so spectacularly that even her lawyer quietly withdrew from representing her after the judgment. When the ruling came through, I didn't celebrate. I just felt free. Like I could finally breathe after months of suffocating under someone else's games. Emily tried reaching out once more afterward, sending me a text that said, "You didn't have to humiliate me like that." I stared at it for a long time, then replied, "You did that all on your own." And that was it. Silence. No closure speech, no apology. Just a clean break and the quiet peace that follows when you finally stop chasing someone who never planned to meet you halfway. For weeks after, I'd walk through the house and still half expect to see her on the couch, scrolling through her phone, pretending everything was fine. But each day, that ghost faded a little more. I started sleeping better, cooking real meals again, even taking my dog for longer walks without that constant tension in my chest. Friends told me I'd gotten lucky, that not everyone gets that kind of proof when a relationship goes bad. But I don't think it was luck. I think it was clarity. I stopped making excuses for someone who saw me as an obstacle instead of a partner. And when the truth came out, it set me free. Dr. Harris reached out once after the case ended. She said she was relieved the situation resolved fairly and that she'd never forget that session. I thanked her, and she said something that stuck with me. "Sometimes honesty is brutal, but it's the only thing that cuts clean." She was right. The truth hurt, but it healed. If you've ever been blindsided by someone you trusted, if you've ever had that moment when the mask slips and you finally see who they are, you know how disorienting it is. You question yourself, wonder if you missed the signs. But here's the thing, some people are just good at pretending. And once you stop trying to fix what they broke, you realize the best revenge isn't about hurting them back. It's about walking away with your dignity intact while they trip over their own lies. That's what this was for me. Not revenge in the Hollywood sense, no fireworks, no screaming matches. Just truth. The kind that exposes everything without you having to lift a finger. So yeah, Emily got her day in court. She got her performance. But I got my peace. And that, to me, is the sweetest victory of all. If this story hit home, don't forget to like the video and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying justice you've ever witnessed? And if you enjoy true stories where karma shows up right on time, make sure to subscribe. We've got plenty more where this came from, and trust me, you won't want to miss the next one.